Hey guys, NoZoupForYou here, and today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to cover legendary modules. The goal of this, though, is to walk through all of the legendary modules, at least on all the ships that I have. I think I'm missing one, maybe two tier 10 ships, and the aircraft carriers, so not going to cover those. But the purpose of this is to walk through these, let you know what they are, and let you decide whether or not you want to get these legendary modules for each of these ships. So I'm just going to walk through one by one. I'm going to show you what the legendary module is, what it does, and whether I took it or I decided it's not worth my time. So, starting off with the Shimakaze. Legendary module for the Shimakaze is actually pretty good. The legendary module for the Shimakaze is Accelerated Torpedo Tube, and what that does is it decreases your reload by 25%. Now, the downside to this is the traverse is decreased by 80%, and you have an increased risk of torpedo tubes becoming incapacitated, but I take this one, and the reason why I take this one is the trade-off I feel is not that great. If you're in a Shimakaze, you're probably going to be firing your torpedoes a little further out anyways. So traverse speed, you really don't have to worry about that because you're thinking about that well in advance. So I have decided that this is a good one. It's better than Torpedo Tubes Mod 3. So Shimakaze, I would go with the legendary module for that. The Zhou. Moving on to the Zhou, the legendary module for this is Enhanced Main Battery and Steering Gears, and what this does is it decreases dispersion of your main battery shells, it increases main battery firing range, and it decreases your rudder shift time. That's not a bad thing to have. Let's look what you're giving up, though. You're giving up your main battery reload time, which I have on this, which decreases by 12. Now, this one I'm kind of on the fence on. This is one of those ones that might not be bad, might be good, all depends on your play style. Now, it's nice having that reload time decreased, but also with the Zhou, one of the things that I find to be really good is being able to fire just a little further out, and I think that the Zhou benefits from this. It already has pretty good accuracy, but the rudder shift time right there is good as well, having that decrease in rudder shift time, so I think this is probably a good one to go with on your Zhou. Moving on to the Yamato, the legendary for the Yamato, this is a definite take, and it decreases your maximum dispersion, and it also decreases your battery reload time at the expense of a little more traverse. Now, the thing I normally have in this slot for the Yamato is the main battery mod 3, which decreases the time by 12%, so you're taking a little bit of cut if you're taking this, the legendary module. So instead of that negative 12, you only get negative 6. But again, you get that negative 7% dispersion, which stacks on top of Aiming Systems Modification 1. So you're stacking dispersion upon dispersion, and before this, the Yamato was one of the most accurate battleships in the game, and this just takes it into, well, straight up legendary mode. Moving on to the gearing. So the gearing doesn't have it in the 6 slot, it's in the 5 slot, and it's called a modified hull. And what this does is it decreases your detectability range by 15%, and in my opinion, this is really good. Now, you are giving up your regular concealment module, but that's okay because you're gaining 5% more concealment. And this brings your overall concealment down to 5.6 kilometers on the gearing. So in my opinion, this is a pretty good skill to take. It does increase your main battery reload time just a little bit by 15%, and it also gives a minute torpedo tube reload time. But I think it's worth it for that extra concealment, at 5.6 concealment. Moving on to the legendary module for the Des Moines. This is called Enhanced Propulsion, and what it does is it decreases your rudder shift time and your acceleration by 50%, but in the process it also takes your action time of your surveillance radar minus 10%, and to give that up, you're also giving up your main battery mod 3, which decreases the loading time by 12%. In my opinion, this is not worth it, and this is the first one that we've covered today that I really think is not a good deal. So I would not do this. I think the main battery modification 3 is a lot more important than the legendary module, giving the enhanced propulsion. So, moving on to Montana. Montana, you don't get that 6 slot, it's in the 5 slot. And with this, it's called Enhanced Damage Control System. Decreases fire extinguishing time by 15%, flooding by 30, rudder shift time by 30, and it also decreases steering gear repair time. Right now, I would not take that. I don't want to give up my Concealment System Mod 1. I like having my concealment at 13.4 kilometers on the Montana. So, you're asking to give up a lot by taking this. However, if you don't mind your concealment being in the 14 or 15 kilometer range, if it's not that big of a deal to you, if you play the Montana differently, then this might be something to take if you like the whole zombie mode in a ship, you know, just being able to survive. This might be okay. But for me, this is another no-go for me. So that's 2 right now, Des Moines and Montana. Moving on to the Hawass. This is another 5 slot right here, and this is called Heavyweight Artillery, and what this does is it increases your main battery firing range by 8%, and it decreases your reload by 6%, at the expense of your traverse speed. And the other thing you're giving up in this slot is you're giving up your concealment modification, so that negative 10% to your concealment. To me, I think it's worth it to take the Heavyweight Artillery, because you're not really worried about concealment in the cabbie anyways, and having that extra range on this ship, having that extra 8% firing range, puts you in that 14 kilometer plus range, which I think is a very good benefit from this ship. And if you're able to fire that far out, and you're at full speed, it's hard enough as it is for another ship to hit you. So this is another legendary module I think that is worth taking. Moving on to the Moskva. We've got heavyweight battery guns, and what this does is it decreases dispersion by 11% and it increases range by 8%. You are giving away, though, main battery mod 3, which decreases your reload time by 12%. So, this one is another one of those ones that I kind of could go both ways on. It's already an accurate ship as it is, so I don't really know that that's important to me. And that main battery firing range, just adding a little more range. You're at 19.4 kilometers right now as it is. This one I'm on the fence on. I really don't know if it's worth it. I'm not seeing significant value to taking this. So this is your call on this, but I will probably just stick with the decreased reload time with main battery mod 3. So the Moskva kind of gets a no-go for me. So far that's 3 ships that I would not take the legendary module on, and more ships that I would though. Moving on to the Z52, we've got another 5 slot, and this one is low profile torpedo tubes, and this boosts your reload time as well, negative 15%. To take that, though, you're giving up your concealment, because I'm assuming you've got concealment right here. And, you know, your concealment's 6.1. You know, you're giving up a lot of concealment to take a buff to your torpedo tubes. And the torpedoes on these, they reload, if I recall, fairly quick as it is. So I don't know. Yeah, 68 seconds on your reload. I really don't know that I would take that. This is another one where probably your decision based upon your playstyle, if you care about detectability range and concealment or not. But for me, I don't know that it's worth it. I think I would probably just stick with the concealment system mod 1 on this. So there's another ship that I wouldn't take the legendary on. Moving on to the Kurfürst. The Kurfürst, you've got enhanced main armaments for its legendary module, and this one is fun. This one's pretty fun. Decreases your main battery reload time by 15%. Decreases your secondary battery reload time by 15%. At a little hit to your main battery firing range and your traverse, You're decreasing by 8%. I took this though, and your range after it isn't impacted too much. You're at 19 kilometers, so a little bit sub 20 kilometers at the expense of main battery mod 3, that negative 12% for your reload time, but instead you're getting a little more reload, a little quicker, plus that secondary battery reload time. And if you've got the Kurfürst in a secondary build, this is just absolutely fun. So that's one I would definitely take. Moving on to the Minotaur, Mr. Minotaur. Minotaur is, in my opinion, a definite take. It increases the action time of your smoke generator by 150%. So, yeah. Also, dispersion of enemy shells, plus 10% to that, and negative 5% on your detectability range, which is nice because you're giving up your concealment system mod 1 to take this. But again, 150% action time to your smoke generator. If you like perma-smoke, this is the thing for you right here. So this is definitely a legendary module I would work towards. You're not giving up a lot to take it. Yu Yang. Mr. Yu Yang. One of my favorite ships in the game right now. Absolutely love this ship. Probably my favorite destroyer in the game. Enhanced armaments. Decreases main batteries by 10% and decreases torpedo tube reload time by 10%. But in order to take this, you're giving up a little bit of your concealment. So you're going to have a little worse detectability. So that'll take your detectability to 6.5 kilometers. If you don't play your Yu Yang as a gunboat primarily, this isn't such a bad sacrifice. Yes, it's nice having that 5.9 kilometer or so concealment, but you're also getting a very, very nice boost to your reload in both your main batteries and your torpedo tubes. So for my play style, this legendary module is a yes for me. Might not be for you, it is for me. Moving on to the Onre. The Onre, in this slot, you've got increased firing elevation of artillery. That increases your main battery firing range by 8%, decreases your reload time by 12%, but to do that, you're giving up your detectability 10% right there. And the thing with the Onre is you already have pretty bad detectability. I don't want to say it's bad, but for a cruiser, it's not the best. I mean, the Montana has better concealment than you. So the question is, do you really want to give up that concealment? And for me, I choose not to. I rather not. I mean, you've already got the reload booster on it, the module, so yeah, I'd sacrifice it on this and keep your concealment. So that's another no-go. Republic. Now this one is very interesting. Additional main battery loader. This is a very interesting one. It decreases your main battery reload time by 18%. That's pretty significant right there compared to the normal 12%. But to do that though, you're giving up 24% of your main battery firing range. Your main battery firing range as it is 26 kilometers. So if you're giving up 25% of that, it's going to knock you down to 19.8 kilometers. So to me, I think this is a good deal right now. This is a good trade-off. Yeah, I know some people like to fire at over 20 kilometers. Me, it's not that big of a deal. I think this is a decent trade-off right here for that minus 18% reload, which puts your gun reload time at 19.7 seconds, which is actually kind of ludicrous for the size of these guns. So yeah, this is a legendary module that I would take. Haragumo, well, Haragumo is new and it doesn't have a legendary module yet, so we're going to pass right over that to the Worcester. And here we are at the Worcester. And at the Worcester you have enhanced countermeasures. It just gives you a little extra action time to your hydro and your radar and defensive AA. But to do that, you got to give up your detectability, and I'm not ready to give up my 9.5 kilometer detectability. So that's a no-go right there. Not going to take it. Moving on to the Hindenburg. Hindenburg has a 5 slot right here, and it's got enhanced repair party. This one's kind of weak. Hindenburg's good enough as it is. I'm not worried about flooding recovery time or fire extinguishing time. I've got double steering gears on it, which I absolutely love, so I'm probably just going to keep that. I think this is probably one of the weakest legendary modules out of all of them, so that's a no. That's a no for me. And lastly, we're moving on to the Conqueror. And the Conqueror in this slot, you've got enhanced engineering systems, main battery traverse speed, plus 13%, so rudder shift time, you get a decrease in the rudder shift and a decrease in steering gear repair time. To me, probably not worth it. I know a lot of people like the concealment to make the concealment, good. And yeah, that legendary module is another kind of weak one. And honestly, I don't play the Conqueror that much anymore, or at all, period. It's one of those ships that I unlocked and I just didn't really enjoy it because it was boring. I don't like slinging HE in battleships. I just don't. I said there's a couple ships that I'm missing right now out of the tier 10s. I think really the only one I'm missing right now is, I want to say the Grozovoi. So Grozovoi, I can't really tell you right now. Sorry. And I know a lot of people don't like the Grozovoi either way. I think that's really the only tier 10 I'm missing right now that I can't enlighten you regarding the legendary modules. And of course the aircraft carriers, I don't play aircraft carriers. I don't even want to feign knowing anything about aircraft carriers. Daring probably doesn't have one yet because it's brand new. So yeah, that's your legendary modules right there. So out of them, yeah, take the Shimmy, the Zhou, the Yami, and the Gearing. What did we say? We passed on the Des Moines, passed on the Mani, took the Hawass, I think the K is silent. Moskva passed on it, Z52, pass. Grosser, we took it. Minotaur, we took it. Yu Yang, we took it. And then the Onre passed. Republic took it for that very, very quick reload time. And the Worcester we passed, Hindenburg we passed, and the Conqueror we passed. So hopefully this gives you an idea of what you should take for your legendary modules. Hopefully it gives you a good idea. Hopefully it gives you something to shoot for, something to aim for. It gives you a little clarity in what you want to go for so you don't waste your time needlessly. Anyhow, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you all are doing phenomenal, and I am out.